All right, guys, welcome back to the Pod of Greed. A little bit later than usual this week.
A day late, but we're still on time.
Right. Alec was sick.
Yeah, I didn't feel so hot, but I bounced back and I'm here. I'm ready to pod.
Yeah, we're happy to chat with you guys. It feels like it's been a pretty wild week. New ban list is probably the big thing.
Yeah. I heard y'all really like that, huh?
There were opinions on it. Yeah, we were traveling when this dropped, so like I didn't really get a chance to make a video on it. But yeah, so I guess let's hop right into that.
Start with the most important news. Ban list.
Sure. So we've got a new ban list. Goes into effect on Monday, I believe, and this one is a pretty small one. So Kashtira Arise Heart was banned. And that was the only banned card. The limited cards being Bestial or Bestial. I actually never know how it's pronounced.
I call him Bestial.
Yeah, I always said Bestial, but then some people say Bestial. Anyway, Bestial Magnamute and Chaos Space both were limited to one. And then some cards came off the list or like moved in the list back to three. That was Herald of Orange Light and Salamangreat Gazelle. And that was the list. Really small, short, kind of minimalistic ban list. Of course, you know, they say on the site the next update will be in a few months. That's their new verbiage.
That can be in a few months or a few more months or a few less
December,
months,
January, February, who knows?
A few.
So, I don't know. I mean, what are we thinking about it?
Well, I'm never happy to see Gazelle come to 3.
Well, you don't like Salamangreat?
No, I did not. I do not like Salamangreats.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I don't have a whole bunch of an opinion on this list because I have not been playing enough, I think, like paper Yu-Gi-Oh to really know.
He'll be screaming ban Arise Heart when it comes to Master Duel.
Yeah, that's when I'll start to care. But yeah, response to this list was not great. By most people just seemed like they weren't satisfied. The general sentiment that I heard was, you know, where's the rest? Right. Like, well, like, oh, that's
like,
it.
They forgot to upload the rest of the list.
Yeah, like it just left the Konami offices somewhere. I think that it is a very small ban list. It's been a while since we've had one like this sort of minimalistic. It's not the shortest ban list that we've ever had. I think we have had
the shortest.
There've been a couple. I remember I looked it up because I wanted to mention it, but there have been shorter ban lists. This is like top 2, top 3, like in terms of just minimal hits. I think what a lot of people really wanted out of this list is two things. I think
new format?
Well, yeah. So I think people wanted more like floodgate and kind of shutout cards to get banned. I know a big conversation piece lately has been like Dimension Shifter, Eradicator Epidemic Virus, Dimensional Barrier, a lot of these cards that can kind of feel like blowouts. And then also I think that people just sort of want more stuff coming off the list. Like that's almost a given in any list. It's like we just bring me back this, that.
I think that's the number one thing I look forward to in any ban list is what's coming off.
I agree. I think it's a kind of a thing because for more casual or kind of like just not entirely competitive types, like Alec, like me, honestly, in some cases, and just there's more of them than you would think. I think it's more exciting to have stuff come off the list. It just kind of feels like, oh, my old deck that I liked that had something banned or limited on it is now like maybe more playable. Usually the stuff that comes off the list doesn't even end up really causing a lot of trouble, but it just means that like, hey, I can play, you know, whatever again. Like I remember the way back when Stratos actually like was like unbanned or unlimited or whatever, and like
we missed you.
That was like a huge thing. So I guess let's break it down though. We'll break down the cards.
It'll take 4 minutes.
It won't take long. So Kashtira Arise Heart. I'm not a fan of this card very much, just in general. And the reason I'm not a fan of it is actually a weird one, if you can believe it. And you might appreciate this.
I won't.
I'm not a fan of it because I actually really like what Kashtira represents, like lore-wise, and I like the way that they kind of managed to capture their lore in the playstyle. Because, you know, they're supposed to be sort of pillaging planets for their resources and basically taking them over. And so whenever they lock out a zone, that's supposed to represent like taking over a planet. Whenever they banish your cards face down, that's supposed to be like they're, you know, plummeting like your resources, right? then you just kind of see a Rise Heart, and it's just like, yeah, this is just a big obnoxious boss monster. Like it doesn't really. I feel like its effect doesn't really feel like it's like a Kashtira effect. It just feels like we just kind of
happier if it was more like Shangri-La and it locked up more pieces of the board.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't really put it. Yeah, but either way,
it's just Diablosis.
Lord, I'm surprised that wasn't one of their like just an on-theme thing for them. Yeah, like I know people don't like this card. I think the main issue with a Rise Heart was that it was really like
it was a stacked card.
It warped. It's a stacked card and warped the format around itself. Was kind of my understanding when I got to speak with a lot of players like at Worlds. Some of the top players were just saying like it's just not a pleasant card because it kind of means, can your deck play with a Rise Heart on the field? Like, can it deal with a Rise Heart? And if it can't, then your deck likely can't compete. And
it took the concept of a floodgate on legs and kind of jacked it up to an 11.
Yeah, it's buffed Darklaw, right?
Because like it's like, oh yeah, I walk around, I'm a floodgate. Oh, I also interact with your opponent. Interact with your opponent.
Yeah, like I can banish things. I grab new materials. 3K. Like, you know,
that's nothing to scoff at.
It's really rough. It's hard to swing over. It's just a really difficult card to deal with. As for like, you know, what that does to Kashtira, my assumption is that Kashtira itself can still be played. I think if they had gone the extra mile and hit Kashtira Fenrir, that might have changed that. But Fenrir is actually still at 3. That was one of the ones that I kind of wanted to see get hit. I think the card's a bit loaded.
But without a Rise Heart, what's the point?
I don't know. I'm interested in seeing if people even like do anything with Kashtira.
A Rise Heart looks so cool.
He does look cool.
Why did they have to overtune it?
Yeah, that is a thing with Konami is you can sometimes read these cards and they tune them so high, and then they have to get banned. And now it's like you know,
why couldn't it have been tuned in such a way where like it could be limited, and we'd be fine.
They tried limiting it, wasn't enough.
No, not a Rise Heart, because Kashtira cards are resources no matter where you put them.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, but I am glad it got banned. I know there were some people who actually were unhappy that it did, although that seems to be the minority of opinions.
I mean, they were probably like diehard Kashtira players, right?
Yeah, so that's and then so the bestial hits. My assumption around that is just that like the Dragon Link deck's been around for a few years, and it grows, it changes,
it evolves.
But most recently, you know, was on the front stage at Worlds, right? Polyarons won with it. Not the same format, but there just tends to be a trend in Yu-Gi-Oh of the deck that wins Worlds
hit it somewhere.
Tends to just kind of get hit across the formats. So not surprised to see this. It's a consistency hit more so than like a outright power hit. Like,
though what's interesting is those two cards are cards that Dragon Link got access to in the last kind of 3 years ish.
Mm-hmm.
So the core of the deck is still very much there, and the thing about it is all that deck does is wait for new cards to add, right?
Yeah, so, there will always be a new dragon at some point.
Soon they're going to get new cards to replace them, and it'll be the same deck doing the same things.
Yeah, so I don't have a really strong opinion on it. I just think that it's kind of one of those about time things, I guess. Konami felt like now it's time to pull the trigger. And those are the only hits in this ban list. That's those 3 cards were the only hits. So nothing to, you know, some people wanted maybe Runic to get hit. Some people thought Branded might get hit because it's just existed kind of in the top tier space for so long. Thought maybe like
Branded is strong.
Branded Fusion or something. But nah, Konami doesn't really seem to think that's too much of an issue. And based on tournament results as of, you know, these last few weeks, Branded isn't really, you know, dominant or even super present. So
like we all know it's a strong deck, but is it weird to call Branded fair?
Yeah, it's weirdly fair, and that's like strange to say because like it's a deck that it's got a lot of steam and fuel, but you know it doesn't really put up Omni negates. So and then they banned what is the card? Branded Expulsion. So like you know,
and it does have polarizing matchups. Branded has matchups that's really good in, and then it has matchups where it kind of suffers.
Yeah, it suffers. I know that some people talk about how the deck is so predicated on Branded Fusion, and that's good and bad for it because Branded Fusion is an extremely loaded card, but then it means like you got some susceptibility to like Ash Blossom. So I don't know. I guess like Konami deemed it okay. You could argue that maybe the Bestial Magnamut hit is vaguely a branded hit as well, since they do use the
Yeah,
card. But
they can do bestial things.
so I mean, that's all that got hit. Nothing to Pirelli, nothing to.
Pirelli don't deserve a hit.
I don't think they do either. But to be clear, like I thought that they might hit it just simply on the basis of like it's one of the upper tier decks. But yeah, they didn't hit it, so it's all right. And they didn't hit floodgates and stuff that people wanted hit. And I think that's maybe where the conversation gets a little bit more like intense.
Yeah, floodgates are something that when you lose to a floodgate, it feels really bad because floodgates say you can't do something.
Yeah.
And typically they're stopping you from doing the thing you want to do the most. So when you lose, those words feel the most bitter.
I think also floodgates have taken on this new role in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Where like because the game itself is quite fast, the game's end pretty quickly, and so much is predicated on that first turn. The fact that floodgates can effectively turn off a turn makes them like proportionately stronger than they might have been like say 10 years ago, right?
That's true. The longer a duel goes, the less effective a floodgate has been.
Or at least the less effective it feels. Like, because technically, floodgate's always going to kind of be there causing you trouble, but it's just that with Yu-Gi-Oh, there's no real cost to flipping up. There can be only one, or D-barrier.
Just one card.
You just you flip it, and there's no resource or anything tied to it. There's no cost tied to it. You flip it, and then it's causing trouble, and your opponent kind of has to immediately answer, and if they can't, then they lose, and it doesn't feel fun. So I see why people want the floodgates hit. My suspicion, though, has always been, and this isn't like a justification, it's just a perspective.
It's a juxtaposition.
As I think Konami keeps the stuff around because like it makes it where like newbies and like more kind of casual or middling types can just use floodgates and get some results. Mm-hmm. And I know people are going to hear that and be like, well, that's not like fair or whatever, but I think that's what it is. That's my theory. Because like you can flip a D barrier and maybe get a win off the good players at your shop every now and again. You're not going to win the tournament, but you might get a win, and that at least feels decent. So,
I mean, now, but people have won tournaments with D barrier. I mean, it is a strong card.
Yeah.
But I guess the idea is these are cards that, while strong, they can't protect themselves. Mm-hmm. There's no defense for them. This isn't like it's a little different than something like anti-spell fragrance, which hinders your ability to get rid of it just a little, since it's like, oh, you gotta set your spells. Now, most things that you play are quick play, so that's kind of fine. But floodgates can't protect themselves. I think they're worse on monsters that have extra effects. Arise Heart.
Yeah, I think Konami kind of tends to have this view, and I've begun to sort of see it, if it's even true, of like these strong spells and traps tend to get hit less than like strong monsters do in this game. And I think it's just because monsters have legs and like, particularly in the case of extra deck monsters can kind of come out of nowhere. Whereas like floodgates do have to be drawn. They do have to in most cases be like set. They are susceptible in some way to like removal or kind of being telegraphed. So I don't know. I mean, like some people are going to sit here and they're going to think like, oh, Paul just likes floodgates. I really don't. I think like Konami they've kind of drawn their line of like, these are okay because they are, like fundamentally defensive cards. Fundamentally, like they have to, floodgates are almost always kind of driver or passenger seat things. Like the combo deck is kind of in the driver's seat and it's trying to dictate, how fast we play and what we do. And the floodgates are kind of just there to say like, wait, no, slow down.
Speed bumps.
But yeah, they're sort of like speed bumps, but effectively like, just flipping Dimensional Barrier does not actually force you to like sign that match slip, right?
But I think for a lot of people, if they see the D barrier get flipped, they start signing the match slip anyway.
I do think mentally there's a conversation about that where like people mentally fold and like tilt to the cards. There's a really good tweet by like Trishla TTV. You guys might know him, but either way, he was in that Mashville Invitational. But he just was kind of tweeting about how like he actually thinks that things like Mystic Mine and certain other floodgates can actually be more healthy, interesting, and interactive than they're given credit for. But just that modern Yu-Gi-Oh! In some ways doesn't allow those sort of things to flourish. one like good point he made on Mystic Mine was Mystic Mine is interesting, and I never had viewed it this way. And I'm not saying this is like bring back Mystic Mine, it'll be perfect.
You heard that?
But
you heard that? Clip
if
it.
you think about Mystic Mine and how it works, once Mystic Mine hits the field, it kind of ensures that in most scenarios, neither player will actually ever like win or lose. Like the game state can't really change a lot. What can happen is just that turns pass, both players kind of fix their hands as those turns pass, and you're forced to just draw and discard and all that. And until you draw your spell of trap removal or whatever your out to it is, you just won't be able to like really advance your board state. But also neither will your opponent. And so in theory, you could actually wait until like a deck out. If you know you're running MST, you could wait the 17 turns you need to eventually draw it, pop it, and then kill them on that turn. But what sort of impedes that is the time, so end of match procedures, where you just, if Yu-Gi-Oh was a game with infinite amounts of time, then you would always just wait out Mystic Mine until you see you're out, just absolutely. But you can't really do that in a tournament setting, and so like it's kind of complicates it a little bit. It's a whole thing. I would check his Twitter out if you guys want a more detailed kind of explanation. I don't want to like put words in his mouth. And again, it doesn't like make Floodgate suddenly fun to play against. I'm just, it's a perspective.
You know, a floodgate, and this floodgate, I think, puts every other floodgate that you can even possibly mention right now in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Vanity's emptiness.
How do you mean?
So, what did Vanity's emptiness do, Paul? What, like, hypothetically?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea is it stops the special summons.
Yeah, it stops special summons.
Mm-hmm.
To me, like, there's no more impactful floodgate than that.
Yeah.
I think in second place is Macro Cosmos and any card that's similar to Macro.
Yeah. And then maybe Skill Drain, I'd say at third.
But yeah, I definitely put Skill Drain in third. But I honestly think...
Maybe I'd switch them, I don't know. Anyway.
As long as Emptiness is banned, I think Konami has been pretty fair about floodgates.
Do you? Okay.
If Emptiness is like a 10 in the floodgate category...
Yeah.
I really don't think the next floodgate's a 9 or even an 8.
Oh, that's a hot take. I mean, yeah, I think that I mostly agree. I think that the top two kind of most obnoxious floodgates of all time, we'll say, are Vanity / Oppression, just because they're functionally quite similar. Like Royal Oppression, that's such an old one. Most people listening might not.
I never even think about Royal Oppression. It's so old for so long.
But like Vanities / Oppression, and then like Imperial Order. Imperial Order, I think they are tied for top two. Like truly, just most obnoxious. Imperial Order in many cases, floodgating the outs to itself. So.
But all those cards are banned.
But they're banned. So I think Konami has gotten rid of the most egregious stuff, and we've been left to deal with ones that are like obnoxious, but technically can be like sometimes played around or anticipated or whatever. So maybe they.
I had an opponent flip Gozen on me the other day, and I was just like, "Well, played around that."
Yeah, and like sometimes you can play around them. It's just that again, Yu-Gi-Oh in the modern day, it moves fast, and there's kind of an expectation that like if you're not gassing it immediately, that you're probably losing. So,
can you imagine if we had Vanities or Imperial Order right now?
Yeah, I think like that certainly is bannable stuff. So
that'd be pain.
Now, as for what else could have come back, because I think that's another sort of part of the ban list thing. Like people want more things back. Harp Horror has got to be coming soon. Like I know that thing's been banned for so long, and it's in Master Duel at like 2 or 3, and no one plays Orcust. So
Is
I know
that
there's
the
not
only
like
Orcust card that's banned?
That's the only Orcust thing that's like on the list still. I mean, unless you count like, I guess Nightmare Mermaid.
Oh, no, we don't.
But like I think like with Harp Horror, it could come back to 1. Like I don't know why Konami is so.
It is a little strange to have just like one card in an archetype just sitting on the ban list.
And it feels so dated.
Yeah, it just hasn't been relevant in some years now.
Particularly because they have been like kind of slowly moving Sky Strikers off the list, and like they've been slowly kind of like I guess with Salamangreat they've been kind of slowly moving Mirage Stalio and now like Gazelle. And those all came from that same era, and yet Orcust and Thunder Dragons have
Did Gazelle go from 1 to 3?
Or from 1 to 3.
Oh,
I think actually was it a 2?
So I'm wondering.
I don't
remember if it
remember.
went to 2 or not.
It's kind of funny because I think that actually goes to show you how like unremarkable these archetypes feel today. Like no one really, I don't remember if Gazelle was at 1 or at 3 or what. Again, it doesn't.
I know at
matter.
1. I know it was definitely at 1 at one
I
point.
think it was at 1. I think so.
I just wonder if it went to 2. I mean, it doesn't make a huge difference.
Yeah, I guess either way, Salamangreats might be like a little better now. You know, Strikers have kind of slowly gotten a few things back, so they could be better. But like Harp Horror, I think deserves to join that list of things that can come back. And frankly, I mean, even Thunder Dragon Colossus these days, I know some people ask for it back. Not me, but some people do.
I wish I could have Colossus back for Thunder Dragons, but sadly, it would just end up being a piece on a combo like Dex board.
Yeah, and thanks to that one thing, what are those cards called? The Nemesis Corridor and all that. Yeah. And unfortunately, thanks to that, like any deck can kind of run Thunder Dragon Colossus, and so that wouldn't be great. What Thunder Dragon Colossus, frankly, needs to me is just like an errata of some kind, just to prevent it from being summoned in like non-Thunder Dragon decks. You could take a few routes towards how you want to handle that, but like, you know.
I mean, like, it's not. I was about to say it's not the worst thing to play like Floodgate monster control, but then again, Kashtira did that quite well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's like it would be. It's kind of ironic. It's like, okay, we banned Arise Heart, but here's Colossus back. So yeah, I think like they're probably right to just keep Colossus banned, but it does suck.
Like walking Floodgates. I just don't think they're great. They're just not.
Yeah, they're never really a lot of fun. And also, Colossus is one of those ones that can sort of self-protect a little bit. So
yeah,
it's even
we
harder.
We have a multitude of ways around it. It's just it can be difficult when it's saying you can't search to find your item.
Yeah, to find the yep. That's nasty. So that's the list. I mean, is what it is. I guess like we're stuck with it. So hopefully people can. I'll give it this. This is one positive thing. I think with this is the only, in my opinion, like purely positive thing. Everything else is like open to interpretation. Is that at least with Arise Heart out of the game, a lot of decks can finally like kind of crawl out from under the floorboards and like do something again. There were certain decks that just could not function with Arise Heart on the field, and even certain cards that were effectively defunct, like Ultimate Slayer and Forbidden Droplet, where you just could not actually activate them while Arise Heart's on the board, and that.
It's a waste of a deck slot.
It means the card is dead, and so,
But that wasn't the only ban list we got this past week.
Oh, it wasn't? Okay.
We also got a Duel Links ban list.
Yu-Gi-Oh boy. Let's hear about this.
So there were people who were upset that after like Worlds and Duel Links, we didn't actually get a ban list. It seems they were waiting for the KC Cup to end because almost as soon as it ended, we got a list.
As if on cue.
And if I could just get these ads off my screen. All right, here we go. And more cards moved than in the TCG.
Yeah, I remember I saw this ban list just in passing on like my Twitter feed or whatever. And I was like, wow, there's a lot of changes if I'm reading this correctly.
So there's 3 main hits. Mm-hmm. Shooting Riser Dragon goes from unlimited to limit 1.
Okay.
And Shooting Riser Dragon was a part of the. It should have been a part of a Stardust deck, but instead, Odd Eyes was using it to make Trishula 0 during their opponent's turn.
Wow. Okay.
And
Trishula 0?
Yeah.
Dear God. Okay. Anyway, continue.
So yeah, that enabled Odd Eyes to stay very meta relevant for I think longer than they'd actually expected it to. So it went to limit 1, which means that you can only run 1 limit 1 card in your entire deck, and I promise you, Odd Eyes players are not going to use it on Shooting Riser Dragon.
Yeah, okay.
Next card, Dragon Pit Magician goes to limit 3.
From like not
unlimited.
Okay.
So Dragon Pit Magician to limit 3. At first, everyone's like, well, that's not great because I was only running like 1 or 2 Dragon Pits to begin with. Just to be clear, guys, Dragon Pit is the vanilla Pendulum Magician that has the effect. It's the pendulum effect to discard a card and destroy.
A spell or trap, I believe.
Trap.
Yeah, okay.
So a lot of people weren't even running 3. So at first they thought, well, that's not that big of a deal. But you know what else is on limit 3 for that deck? Pendulum Call.
So they're basically that's always the fun with those like the whole like limit 2, limit 3 system and stuff. Is you can kind of ensure that people have to make choices with deck building. Mm-hmm. So it's not that like the cards are banned, but rather that like okay, if I want to run Pendulum Call, then I can do like 1 Pendulum Call and like 2 Dragon Pit, or or vice versa or something. But like ultimately they are limited to a total of 3, and that's in addition to any other cards that are on limit 3. So
if you want to max out on consistency, you run your 3 Dragon Calls and run no Dragon Pits. But one of the strengths of the Odd Eyes deck was having on-demand spell and trap removal.
Yeah.
So I think most people are probably going to settle on like a 2-in-1. We do have Wisdom Eye in the deck, so you should be able to get into the scales that you need when you need them.
Okay.
Next on limit 3 is Destiny Hero Malicious.
Oh, okay.
So D Heroes have been performing quite well.
Yeah, there's one I've heard a little bit about. Is there a skill that like just starts you with a Malicious Engrave and like a poly on your field or something?
Yeah, there's a crazy skill.
That's
Everybody's
insane.
got crazy skills in Duel Links.
Yeah. Okay.
And
anyway.
they seem a little reluctant to change certain skills, but that might change in the future. I won't like draw a line in the sand and say they never change skills, because they have in the past, and I think they will in the future. But yeah, Malicious goes to limit 3, which hampers your ability to max out on Malicious's. There's plenty of cards in the limit 3 category that you might want to run in your deck, and technically, at least in the TCG, we've learned you can get by with 2.
Right.
And those are it for all of our cards that actually... Oh, wait. Was one more hit. Lady Debug went from limit 3 to limit 2.
Oh, what? So is there like a major...
Now, I actually don't know that hit. That one I don't quite know.
Okay.
It's a Cyberse thing, but I don't know what deck that actually was relevant in.
Okay.
But a bunch of cards actually came off the list.
Okay.
So Thunder Dragon Dark went from limit 3 to unlimited.
Okay.
Mech Knight Indigo Eclipse went from limit 2 to unlimited. Mm-hmm. Ritual Beast Tamer Elder went from limit 1 to limit 2. Went from limit 3 to unlimited.
Yeah.
Madolche Petting Sessor from limit 1 to limit 2. Lunalight Yellow Martin from limit 3 to unlimited. Tatsunoko the same. Dark Contract with the Gate the same. Speedroid Fuki Madoshi Piper went from limit 2 to unlimited. Speedroid Double Yo-Yo from 2 to unlimited. And Farfa Malbranch of the Burning Abyss from 2 to unlimited.
Okay.
So a bunch of decks got cards just completely off the list, which is huge because as we talked about before, when you get put on a Duel Links ban list, it's not that you can't run the card. It makes you have to make some like decision and like concession in your deck building. When cards go unlimited in Duel Links, it's huge for decks because you have more copies of them and less decision making.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never really thought about it that way, but yeah, all these cards going off, I guess it means like Duel Links has had a real meta shift then.
Oh yeah, like, power creep, crazy.
Yeah, power creep and stuff. Because I mean, if this many cards can just go off, ironic that in the TCG, that's kind of what we're always begging for. Is like unlimit this, unban this. And like in Duel Links, they effectively seem like they've done that. Is there anything that feels like it like maybe should have gotten hit that didn't? Like I know people are still talking about like tunes is like a new thing that people don't really like, but it's
tunes are very new.
Okay.
The I don't know what you would point the ban stick at right now, because our good decks feel too new to be hit right now. Mm-hmm. And one of the decks that people were the most upset with, the Odd Eyes Raging Pendulum deck, I mean, they hit it. So maybe it needs to be hit again. I don't know.
Yeah, time will tell.
Because I mean, they hit a ceiling for the deck, but the deck has multiple ceilings, so it might just push through that. So Odd Eyes may need another hit. To be clear, guys, I hope it doesn't. I like Odd Eyes.
Yeah. I mean, like, as somebody who doesn't really play Duel Links, I'm always kind of fascinated to hear, I guess, just what sort of cards can be considered like problematic or troublesome in Duel Links, because I'll just be like hearing these cards like, oh wow, that's like limited 2 or that's like limited 1.
Now, they didn't do what we kind of expect in the TCG. They didn't hit the decks that were seen at Worlds that made it to the finals. Mm-hmm.
Because that would have been what, Speedroids and like Rockets?
Like we saw Rockets, Speedroids, Heroes.
Oh yeah, I remember that Heroes were a part. Destiny Heroes were in it though. One of the guys played Destiny Heroes in like
you're right. Destiny Heroes were there, but like Rockets didn't get a hit.
Yeah,
I don't think they got a hit.
Maybe not considered to be too troublesome.
So, but like they have a multitude of data that they can use to like back up their decision making. They don't have to just pick the things that make us the player feel good.
Yeah, I mean it reminds me a lot of like the Master Duel thing. Like they've got all the information. The Yu-Gi-Oh TCG is oftentimes working a little bit less on like less information. So,
but I fully expect for Blackluster Soldier, Tunes, I expect for those decks to get hit in some way, whether that be a reworking of their skills or cards just go outright end up on the ban list. I think it'll happen eventually, but I mean, we saw how long Odd Eyes went without getting any like significant hits, so it can be a while before that happens.
Yeah, I guess in the Master Duel world, not a lot, but they did release a couple new packs. Like there's like the B Trooper cards kind of got re-released in a pack. They finally gave you the Ninja deck. The Ninja structure deck is finally in Master Duel.
Yeah.
You gotten to play with it yet?
Yeah, I play a little bit.
Yeah, what are your thoughts? How do you like it? So, Alec has been looking forward to these ninjas in Master Duel for a while. And
that's because Paul told me like 2 months ago that they were coming to Duel Links. And
Duel Links or Master Duel.
Master Duel.
They took their sweet time releasing them, even though like people had found leaks or whatever in the game's files that they were there like 2 months. But I mean,
they were released in a good state. I mean, it came with I was able to get a Hanzo mate. I got the deck box,
Mm-hmm.
And the starter deck itself comes with every single ninja you could need or want, really.
Yeah, it's really crazy. 1,500 gems and you just get like a complete deck.
1,500, you get 3 copies of pretty much everything. The only things you won't have are more tech choices. The core of the deck, like you can get 40 cards out of that, like for sure.
So how have you been liking it?
So I like the ninja deck. I've always liked it, and one of the challenges I had with it playing it in reality and like paper Yu-Gi-Oh was the deck is so flexible. It wasn't always easy to see where what plays I could make to take myself out of a disadvantageous position into an advantageous one. But Master Duel, and it procs you for like every option that you have, especially especially if you're on like manual chaining. It's really opened up the deck for me.
Okay.
I'm able to see and make plays that I never even knew was possible in the paper version of the game. Mostly because I just don't read cards, and so when you don't read cards, you don't even think things are possible. But that changes on Master Duel. Because I take long breaks in Master Duel. This is like the 5th time I've had to rank up from rookie.
Yeah, that's always its own experience.
But yeah, I've ranked up into like mid gold. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. Of course, I enjoy playing the deck, and it's been a good time. Lots of people play self burn decks in the low ranks.
Yes, I always thought that those had kind of disappeared, but I've also been.
You've been up.
I've been in like Diamond and stuff and Master and all like back and forth for so long, for so many just.
It'll be strange for you to run
I don't think anyone's going to be playing that in Diamond.
But for some reason, like, I'll bump into. See, I bumped into plenty of them in Rookie. I bumped into plenty of them in Bronze. What was strange to me was I bumped into a self burn deck in their rank up game.
And they were just
in like gold 5.
I still don't know why those like. By the way, for context, people, there's like bot. Like, people kind of just like run self burn bot, and I guess they just do it to just quickly get
farm
their
materials.
But you don't get like I don't really know what all you get.
For losing,
I guess you get a little bit for losing, and maybe it's to do like your dailies, and I guess just get the gems that way, and you can set the game alone and just. I've always kind of just thought it was dumb.
Master Duel does not have enough game modes, so ranked is pretty much the only game mode. If you're not pushing your rank, what are you doing?
I've always kind of felt like Master Duel does need to do a little bit more in that department. Like,
agreed.
They added that casual mode. It's not great. I think the biggest issue with casual mode, first and foremost, is like that you don't actually get any rewards for it. Like it's pure. Like I think if you could at least complete your dailies, like get this many, like activate 5 spells today, activate 5 traps, special summon 5 times. Like if you could at least get those from playing casual mode, there would probably be more incentive to play it. But also like it's not really its own format. It's just kind of the wild, wild west. I find that like you might still run into somebody playing, some top tier thing just to piss people off and troll and like whatever. But then also like you'll find, I don't know, I think they need to flesh it out a bit more. I don't know exactly what the answer to that is. So I'm not going to pretend to be like armchair dev here, but more game modes would be nice. A little more to do. They are running right now their second event of the month is happening. It's the Fusion and Xyz Festival. Mm-hmm. And typically I find those like festivals to be a pretty nice diversion. This one's fun, although like I played a lot of branded decks so far, and because it's like only Fusion and Xyz monsters, so people will always kind of play the strongest option. I think they could have maybe afforded to hit the branded deck a little bit for this event.
My new Konami conspiracy theory is they love branded and will never hit it.
I'm starting to kind of think so. I mean, Master Duel in general has hit branded a fair bit, and all those hits still apply. But it's just like, I don't know, branded's one of those decks where it's just gotten so much support that it's hard to like truly hit the thing because there's just always substitutes. They can always run something new. Like I remember when they first started like doing like fusion deployment into Blazing Cartesia, and I was just like, oh god, it's like another way to do that, and yep, and it just so there's always like these little things that they can do and kind of stick around. But
speaking of branded, I have to say that this has actually been my most interesting rank up to and through gold. I've done this a few times now, but never have I been like kind of hit with strong decks the same way I was in both bronze, silver, and gold.
What sort of decks?
I've played against at least 6 Pearly decks in the low ranks. I was very surprised by that.
Yeah, it's a new one, so I guess people are trying it out.
I was like, I've played against quite a bit of Pearly. I've played against Branded, and I've played against, I'm forgetting a deck.
Maybe Makonko at all? Labyrinth?
Oh, I played Makonko. Is Makonko considered strong? I played against it.
It's okay. I mean, it shows up.
I played against 2 Makonko decks. They both surrendered after I flipped their stuff face down, which is a very fun game mechanic. I played against, what was the other deck you mentioned?
I don't know, maybe Labyrinth?
Lab. Yeah. I played against the world's worst Lab deck. It was a Labyrinth deck because they tried to activate Coup Clock and I negated it. At least I think that was Coup Clock. It was one of those furnitures. But then, like, the card, I was popping his back row, and I hit Mirror Force, and, some old trap.
Sometimes people will run Mirror Force in there. I've never been a fan. I mean, I always thought, Quaking.
Mirror Force was the best of the traps he was running. He was running a lot of really niche stuff that did nothing.
I mean, it likely was just because if you're in silver, people probably just can't afford it yet with their crafting. So they just have to run Compulse and that kind of thing because it's what they've got.
My thing is why not just start a fresh account? They load
That's
you up.
True. I know people also do the kind of fresh account method of getting decks.
Like that, I played against that deck was not good. But what was the other good deck I played against? Oh, I had to play against Virtual World. Did not enjoy that one bit.
Yeah, it's not really a fun deck.
I had a weak hand. I interacted with them once, and then they just kind of kept comboing.
Yeah, I think, whenever Master Duel releases a new deck and it's fun, that's some of the best grinding time. You really get a deck you like. Mm-hmm. It makes that grind so much more fun compared to when it's a deck that's just I'm kind of just clocking in here.
I never know if I'm playing against Kashtira because everyone plays Fenrir.
Yep, you'll never know.
I'm just is this really Cash or not?
And you can never really decide how to deal with it because sometimes it's if they're playing Kashtira, then there's kind of one way to deal with it. If they're not, you never know if that Fenrir is going to search another Fenrir or if it's going to search a unicorn, and that kind of can determine a lot. And you don't know if Birth's in their hand, and
it's if you use the Ash here, you don't have it later. It's a whole thing.
Or they might just do Fenrir and it's just kind of a bait for your Ash, and they transition to a completely different strategy.
It can happen.
Very wild. But yeah, that's the Master Duel scoop. Right now, as for me, I'm kind of trying to play generators in the festival. Got a little sick of it, switched back to Rika. But it's been fun. I mean, the festival itself is fine. I just I'm not very good. I'm not great with generators, and I don't think that even if you are, that they're the strongest thing out there. So,
I played against a generator deck. It beat me.
Yeah, so I mean, generators are fun. I'm hoping to learn more about them. I'm still like kind of in the process of that. So, any other Yu-Gi-Oh? I think there's been a few like little announcements I've seen here and there. Let's see.
What you got? Because I don't got that.
I'm trying to kind of just off the top of my head. So today they announced Maze of Millennia.
Oh yeah, with the new illusion card. That's all I know about the set.
Yeah, it's kind of I guess the sequel to Maze of Memories is going to be coming out in January of next year. Yeah, they announced like that new. There's like new illusion card. The Pyro search spell. I forget what the card is called.
Burn no.
Something torch kindle whatever. But like,
I forgot.
Yeah, either way, it's that normal spell that's like a pyro monster sort of search spell.
Yeah, search the level 4 lower pyro. What is it called?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I just.
But that's in there. There's a couple other cards that are going to be getting imported. There's like that one trap transaction rollback, which like lets you copy the effect of a trap in your grave or something.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I believe I've only read it once, but
oh, I remember it now.
Yeah,
I remember thinking about Labyrinth when I read it, and I was like, oh god.
So like that's kind of that they announced that's coming out.
There's a flame swordsman in that set.
Is there?
Yeah, I saw the picture. I don't know what the card is. I just saw the picture.
Yeah, so that's all like stuff that's coming out. Trying to think any other news. So YCS Cancun was last weekend. Mm-hmm. It kind of got I think overshadowed because the Banlist dropped like that Friday. So people weren't as concerned with the results of it, but
people were complaining the day it finished.
Yeah, Fluanderies won, and in typical fashion, gamers are such complainers. Like we just always have this thing where
we're always mad about something.
It's just like, and that's not like saying like I'm exempt or you're exempt, but just like there's sometimes a deck will win. And it's just like, man, this deck hasn't really done anything in the last like 6 months. But we're back to complaining about it because it won.
Yep.
Like, it's kind of interesting because like, now people are like, oh, see, they should have hit Harpy's Featherstorm and, Flaundery's Map and like all these cards. So, I don't know. I think like it's a hot take, but not maybe that hot of a take. Flaundery's is harder to like play, I think, now than people give it credit for. Since they don't have
just keep normal summoning.
Yeah, since they don't have the wind barrier statue. It's like a rush duel. Yeah, since they don't have the wind barrier statue anymore, I do think Flaunderies have to actively kind of work for wins. And I know we're going to hear that. I'm like, no, they don't. So it's brain dead easy. But I don't know. You go try winning YCS with it. So,
I think the most popular deck in top 32 was Kashtira.
Yeah, Kashtira kind of last hurrah.
Return to form.
Yeah, kind of for its final event. Unchained still very popular thing. It's kind of the deck to beat, and Flaunderies, I think, having such a pretty solid matchup against it means that it was well equipped to beat that deck. So, will that remain for the rest of the format? Who's to say? But the new list goes into effect soon. This next like Monday or whatever. So events will be changing, and there's been a lot of YCS events that have been announced. I have seen that.
So, what deck are you playing for the new format?
Oh, like hell, I'm not playing the new format. I'm not playing any of it. I mean, I'm going to be playing Master Duel. I don't. Yeah, I mean, like I don't want to.
I'm going to take that hoodie away from you. I feel like it's poisoned you.
Yeah, I wear this hoodie and now I just a Master Duel simp. But like, I don't know. I mean, I don't really care to play competitive paper Yu-Gi-Oh. I love playing it like with friends. Like I'll build decks and like, just the kitchen table kind of Yu-Gi-Oh.
When was the last time we played Yu-Gi-Oh?
For a video. Recently, wow. I don't know, but yeah, like it's just I don't know. Master Duel's easy. I don't have to put my shoes on. Like just just sitting. I don't know. Like I good luck to the people who are like kind of making their way through these trying times of advanced format. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm just going full boomer or something, but like I think we got to get some alternative formats in this game. I think that it's with. The whole advanced format thing, like you either love it or you hate it, and there's not like a much of an in between, and that sucks that there isn't an alternative for people who don't like it. Because I totally understand that like some people think that this like Yu-Gi-Oh's fine right now, and it's okay, like it's in a good place, and to those people, good. I don't think that you are wrong for yourself. Like if you're enjoying these YCS events and like. The way the format's kind of unfolding, Unchained, whatever.
Yeah, speak your truth.
That's good, like right, like speak your truth.
Live your truth.
I love that for you. as people would say. But I think that we've got to have some sort of a rotation thing or some lower power format, or, one idea that somebody had told me a while back was like, maybe YCS should like run like 2 main events, and one is advanced, and then one maybe rotates between like Speed Duel, Edison, something like that. It just feels rough that Konami they have these like alt formats that are either player run or like they don't seem like they're fully willing to commit to them. And so
I think a GOAT YCS would be funny. And like for the feature matches, it's just the same mirror match over.
Yeah, that might get dull. I think there's a reason GOAT kind of fell out of popularity compared to Edison. Edison's just got a broader kind of amount of things that you can do and explore.
There are a lot of relevant decks in that format.
But I think that's like pretty much the Yu-Gi-Oh news. If we missed something, you guys can sort of let us know. It's the Banlist has kind of been the talk of the town, so.
I think we'll probably have new Yu-Gi-Oh news coming out this weekend.
Oh yeah, and this deck came out, Crimson King Structure.
Oh yeah, that's the king himself.
Yeah, this is out.
It's Backjack.
What I like, so we're gonna do an opening of this like right after we record this, but the boxes are smaller. It's kind of cute. They're just these small, eco-friendlier boxes that are.
I don't know. This thing is too small. Like if I can grip it like this, I mean, come on, man. Like why? Like, no, I'm keeping this one.
So yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna see what I can do with Crimson King. Maybe I'll build a little Jack deck, have some fun.
Absolute Backjack.
Okay, I think that's actually everything for Yu-Gi-Oh. Any other stories?
Okay, I've got a few. I got a Magic story.
Let's hear it.
Well, it's not very like
not controversial.
Yeah, not controversial. Oh, I guess it could be controversial depending on you're looking at it.
Okay.
Magic the Gathering announces their second collection of My Little Pony cards.
Okay.
I didn't realize there was a first one. I feel like I think I saw one of those cards and I thought it was like an aura card or something.
So what's special about these?
So let's see. It says Magic the Gathering is once again hitting a trail to become Magic the Galloping. The popular tabletop trading card game is making a return to making a return trip to a very different fantasy world for another highly unlikely, highly adorable collection. For the second time, a Magic the Gathering Secret Lair will drop in on My Little Pony, and just like before, it's going to saddle up for a very good cause.
I hate this writer.
Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro have announced a follow-up to their original 2019 My Little Pony Magic card release with Ponies the Galloping 2. Okay. The new set includes cards for popular colorful cuties Applejack, Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, and Rainbow Dash. They come from illustrators Rudy Swanto, John Thacker, and Anna Steinbauer. And although they are not tournament legal, each card boasts unique mechanics. So these aren't normal Magic cards given a like alternative art to be a pony. These are their own legendary creatures.
Awesome. I mean, I don't know that I'll be playing. But no, I'm being bitter. No, that's cool. I mean, like I'm not like a My Little Pony fan. I know there are a lot of people who are, so I'm not not knocking that. If I had to give credit to Magic for one thing, is that they do their collabs. They really do. I mean, like they're just always doing a new one.
I'm just wondering if anyone did people want this?
Probably so, actually, because they're doing another. Like if they did it once and it failed, they just wouldn't do it again.
That's true.
So it must have been a fairly popular one, and it brings me kind of back to my always Yu-Gi-Oh thing. Like, man, it'd be nice if Yu-Gi-Oh could do a little bit of like some crossover. I know they can't because like
My Little Pony.
Anything.
You can put them in a Pirelli deck.
Yeah, like I'll take My Little Pony. I'll take anything.
My Little Pirelli.
My Little Pirelli. I mean, that's the name of one of the cards is My Pal Pirelli.
That's pretty close.
So, yeah, like I don't know. I think Yu-Gi-Oh could afford to do a little bit more because like it feels like there's no real limit to what Magic will like collab with. I know like they did the Smite thing, which technically was more on the Smite side, but you were talking about that last week. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like they're doing Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who or something is what they're supposed to be doing. I heard like next. I don't know. There's so many.
There is a lot going on.
It's like It's interesting because like Doctor Who and like Lord of the Rings are such disparate things, and yet like
They can exist in the
they
same
can kind of
space.
coexist. And then My Little Pony is even more disparate than those.
All right, wait a minute. So I was looking at these cards,
Uh-oh.
and okay, I gotta talk about them because, like, I mean, the artwork's cute or whatever, but the effects definitely tell you that these are definitely not like legal cards.
Oh, they're like super strong, or like super bad.
Here, all right, here we go. So this is Fluttershy. It costs like 3 mana, 1 green, 1 white. Legendary Pegasus Defender flying. All right, look. This costs 1 mana to use. You put a +1/+1 counter on each creature with a tail target player controls.
Oh, it's those type of things where it's
Stare
like
down up to 1 target creature until end of turn. It can't attack or block as long as you're looking directly at it.
okay, so it's like, you know, that reminds me of is those old Pokemon cards where it would be like, if it's your birthday, like this Pikachu is stronger, you know, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I think that a few joke cards like that every now and again doesn't hurt anyone. Like we could afford a few more.
Like I don't even know what this one means. So Pinkie Pie's got whenever you cast a spell with a smile in its art, create a tapped treasure token. It has an ability, every pony's invited. Your party consists of each creature you control, and your party is always full. What does that mean?
I don't know. Maybe we gotta pick up a few My Little Pony cards. You gonna grab some or what?
We'll see. But last but not least is Rainbow Dash. I actually remember hearing this one's name before. This is the pony I'm most familiar with. Though this one says it's a Pegasus. I don't know what the difference is, but this one's a Pegasus. It has flying haste. Whenever a creature you control with flying and or haste attacks, you get 20% cooler. And in parentheses, it says you start at 0% coolness.
Oh, you gotta get cooler.
So every time you attack with a creature that has flying or haste, 20% cooler. Its ability, Sonic Rain Boom. If you're at least 100% cool, add 1 of each color type of mana, draw a card, and then reset your coolness.
Okay. I guess you're not so cool after you get a strong effect like that.
But yeah, a card that makes you cool.
It makes you mad. It kind of makes you jealous I don't play these games and actually get fun cards. Meanwhile, Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just like, man,
We have fun cards.
we got floodgates.
Remember Arise Heart? He was fun.
True, he was a good time. His coolness meter was off the charts.
So cool. I'm going to miss that guy.
Well, how's this? Pokemon TCG YouTuber banned by CGC for revealing embarrassing quality control.
Who's CGC?
It's a grading company. So a Pokemon TCG YouTuber landed in some hot water with grading company CGC after manually cutting cards to test CGC's credibility and receiving a near flawless grade. CGC is now threatening legal action.
They would grade the card, then he'd cut it?
Well, we're going to read the story and get to the bottom of it. Pokemon TCG collection is a pretty serious business for some, and the verification of cards by trusted graders is integral to its ecosystem. TCG cards in general can go for millions of dollars, and even ex-NFL players can try to scam people with them. I guess that's another story. But anyway, within the TCG collector community, a niche group is interested in factory errors that can increase the value of seemingly worthless cards by up to 10 times. Errors like misprints or miscuts, where a machine misaligned the card and removes a portion, are highly sought after and need to be graded for authenticity. Pokemon TCG YouTuber Shiny Vert tested the quality control at major graders CGC by sending them some manually cut cards, which they certified as factory errors. After posting the results to his YouTube channel, CGC banned him from future grading and sent, quote, threatening legal documents.
Wow.
In a follow-up video, Shiny Vert detailed his banning and the subsequent threats of legal action for what he says is CGC's mess up. Y'all say you check the cards and do whatever to test them, he says. Y'all graded these as error cards, not me. You put your logo on it, you put your label on it, you put them in cases and sent it back to me. He then read through a strongly worded email detailing his ban and his responsibilities as someone with a graded Pokemon TCG card containing clerical errors. Yeah, so they're trying to kind of, I guess, shut him up, but he made, I guess, fake miscuts.
Yeah, he cut his own cards, and he was like, "Let's see what they'll say." And they're like, "Yep, these are totally legit." And it's like, well, that's BS.
Which does speak to. I mean, I think they kind of come out not looking great here.
No, I mean, that makes you look horrible.
Because not only is, well, go ahead. Sorry.
Because like a grader's like reputation
is effectively everything.
Yeah, it's everything. Like you're trusted to authenticate these cards. Your word makes a card worth cents or like thousands. And just a random YouTuber, I mean, I don't know how random this YouTuber is, but some YouTuber was like, I'm going to put y'all to the test, and you were found lacking. You were found lacking in 4K.
Not to mention trying to, like, shut him up. Like, yeah, we're going to threaten legal action. Like, I mean, come on. Like, he sent these, like, you know, cards in, and you guys, like, made a mistake, and now he told people about it, but, like, I don't know that he... I mean, listen, I'm not a lawyer, but like
they can't
admit, I don't really know what they can do.
Or at least they won't admit to having done anything wrong.
Yeah.
So then now that means he has to have done something wrong. So they're for them, they're framing it as he scammed them.
I think what the angle they're probably taking is that like he was doing it to try to profit from the cards, like from the fact that they were listed as miscuts.
And even if he were, I mean, like he said, they were the ones who authenticated it. Like,
yeah, so he just says, I would highly recommend that you be extremely careful with this company. He called CCG the worst fucking company he's ever seen and reiterated what he sees as the problem. I put a spotlight on something that shouldn't be happening, and they banned me.
And they're not even considered the worst, like, grading company. I mean...
Yeah, I don't know too much about CGC. I know, like, PSA is kind of the big one. I know Beckett is, like, another kind of big one. So, I mean, this isn't great PR for them. It's not a great look. Hopefully they at least drop the charges and just kind of admit wrongdoing and carry on.
Because my thing is, if they can't properly identify a miscut, how reliable is a grade 10 from that company?
Right, that's true. But yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. Hopefully he's okay, and hopefully they just kind of admit, like, hey, we messed up, and maybe they can recover from it.
Nah, they cooked.
I don't know.
They cooked.
So that's my story. Anything else?
Let's see. I have... I lost it. It disappeared. There we go. I have an AI story.
Oh, okay, it's been a while.
Yeah, I brought this one because we're YouTubers, and this is about AI and YouTube.
Okay.
So YouTube has announced it's rolling out 4 new artificial intelligence powered tools to simplify the content creation process.
Oh, all right. I saw this headline this morning. I didn't read too far into it. Let's hear it.
So these include AI Insights, which produces new video ideas based on what creators' audiences are watching. Dream Screen, a generative AI tool that allows YouTube Shorts users to create unique backgrounds by typing in a prompt. Assistive search for creator music, which suggests soundtracks for videos, and Aloud, a dubbing tool that translates videos into various languages.
Cool. All right. Let's take them one by one.
All right. So the first one was AI Insights. And this is the one that actually made me want to talk about it because it produces video ideas based on what your audience is watching.
I mean, as a YouTuber, I like it. I think it's like a little creepy, but like not too creepy.
It's interesting, the idea of using AI for ideation. And what AI is doing is it's going through your audience's watch history.
Right.
And I guess and then it just starts spitballing ideas based on that, just combining concepts and looking at trends.
I mean, in a way, it's kind of, I guess you have to admit, like, from the YouTuber angle, it's kind of what a lot of us have always, like, wanted, you know? Because, like, YouTube is this thing where you take a big risk with like every new video, depending, like it obviously varies a lot by genre and space, but like you might be taking a big risk with like videos. Like, will this one land? Will this one bomb? Nobody likes a 10 out of 10 video.
Bombs.
Yeah, like, we've experienced plenty of that ourselves. And like sometimes you have like, kind of droughts where things don't feel like they're going well. And other times you're riding really high. But it would always be great to have, something that does kind of generate what Google thinks are these guaranteed bangers. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, the onus is still on you to actually make the video good. Make a good thumbnail, make a good,
Yeah, you can't just... The AI won't make the video. It just gives you the idea.
Yet. But, so you give it time. But, I think that's a relatively harmless feature. Like, it doesn't really feel bad. I think the creepiest thing you could say about it is maybe just this whole, like, idea that, like, what we as, like, people are interested in is now kind of just being... curated by an AI like that. There's like something creepy in that.
A little disturbing about the idea that an AI will then will start telling creators, "Hey, this is what your audience wants to watch next." It's kind of like the AI has us figured out in such a if it's good at this, right? That means AI can just figure us out and know what we want to watch before we want to watch it.
Yeah, know what we want to watch before we want to watch it. I mean, and also like just like here's what will make them laugh. Like here's what.
Yeah,
like here's all you took at the heartstrings.
And then I wonder, YouTube. One of the kind of core tenets for a good YouTube video and a YouTuber is authenticity. How authentic can you be if the AI, if the idea is from AI?
Yeah. Listen. It's a little creepy. You know what the next feature?
All right, so next
but I'll use it.
Next up is Dream Screen, like green screen, but Dream Screen.
Yeah, so this is for shorts, right? Like
so this kind of lets you enter in a prompt, and it will generate like a background for your video. Now,
so this is something that we have seen like on other apps, sort of. Like TikTok has always been able to let you replace background with something, but I don't think we've ever really seen. Like on Photoshop, there's like generative fill where you can kind of type in a prompt and it'll just literally like generate.
Oh, I didn't know
a steak dinner or something. I don't know.
I've never used it.
It's a little wonky and doesn't always work well, but sometimes it does. This is cool though. What do you think?
I mean, it's just a thing to me. I haven't used one of those types of programs before, so I don't have much to go off of. I was confused on how it would work if you'd have to shoot on a green screen in order to be separated enough from the video.
No, I doubt that you do, because nowadays with like TikTok and stuff, you don't need green screens. It's just kind of technology to just sort of cut you out. It doesn't look very professional, but like it's TikTok. It doesn't have to.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. I mean, even on YouTube, we're not necessarily looking for the highest production value in the world. Just decent.
So I mean, that's a cool
just
feature.
Marvel level. Just Marvel level.
Ouch. We gotta start talking about Marvel in this podcast. I've been watching some of these shows, man.
We're gonna start dogging out Marvel.
Listen, I don't want to be a Marvel hater, but if we had a segment, it might not be positive.
All I'm saying, guys, is Paul was like, I want to watch Blue Beetle, but then like I've never heard him say he wants to watch a Marvel movie. Never.
What's a DC movie? Or do you mean like I'm finally just so sick of Marvel that I'm willing to watch a DC movie? Okay.
He's a DC fanboy now.
All I'm gonna say is like Secret Invasion wasn't great.
It wasn't.
Anywho, though, back to this. Yeah, I mean, this isn't really a feature that interests me as much, at least not right now.
Like, you're not a shorter.
I'm not really like a shorts person. I mean, I want to make some, like, we did do a bit with YouTube shorts, like kind of did you know sort of Yu-Gi-Oh videos. And I would like to find a few more shorts to like do again or to do more of, but this feature doesn't seem like it would really be.
That's fair. Weren't you having trouble with the YouTube Music Library the other day?
Yeah, I mean, that new YouTube Music Library beta, I know this is like very inside baseball.
Well, now they have assistive search.
Listening. So when you say assistive search, so I wonder what it is. Like it'll suggest songs or like a soundtrack for a video.
I'm not sure how it does that.
So how does it do that? Like, do you upload the video like just with no music and they just kind of hear what's being said and it kind of thinks?
That one more so than all the rest of these. I wish they'd gone into detail on how it works in the article, because I'm very curious how that works myself.
Yeah, I'll have to see what I can find out about that, because it sounds like technically the most interesting thing so far, just because it's like actively like assisting in the video creation process. Like, like it is like, here's the music that will add the proper tone and like mood to your video. but I'll have to see this in action.
See, I'm more interested in Aloud, the dubbing tool that will just live translate videos.
That's actually really interesting too.
My only problem with like an AI dubbing tool is what happens when it's wrong. What if it makes me say something that is like horrible?
I hope that there's an indication that's like some sort of a disclaimer that like this was just auto dubbed or AI dubbed and not like you.
Because like I don't want to like drop like expletives in other languages. I want to choose to say those expletives. All right, you heard me, YouTube. If I curse, I want it to be on purpose. I want to be like mindful about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's also a pretty handy feature. They are, I will give YouTube this. Those are what I would say, and I know it's always kind of a blurry line, but I think all four of those features really kind of feel like they are on the more ethical side of AI, of the AI conversation.
Woo! Taking a stand here, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
All
Well, no,
right.
I just think,
Paul's
like,
on the side of big Google.
like there's always kind of this whole like AI is like stealing people's art and stealing,
So when did you start loving Google and hating Elon Musk?
Wow. But yeah, I think that these are like helpful features that don't feel harmful, like really, and they could be fun. And what do you think?
Wow. Mark Zuckerberg would be sickened by you.
Okay.
No, but I mean, I think these are all right. As far as like AI horror stories go, I haven't seen too many interesting ones lately. So these are definitely on the
like they're not horror stories.
they're on the right side of the baseball field. But don't worry, guys. I'm looking for more horror stories. There are some. They just weren't that interesting to me.
Yeah. I saw something on Twitter where like people were mad at the dual logs because he used AI in a video recently. Like he does like top 10s and like kind of just top 10 like level 7
What did he
monsters.
AI?
So he had like his throat kind of had gone out. He'd been sick for the last like week or so, and he did like a video where it's just he had the AI trained on his own voice and like read the script for the video. And
Oh, that's so
I
interesting.
thought that was kind of neat, but like people were upset. They're like, "Don't do this anymore. This is so disappointing. Like this is evil.
Don't
AI
use
is bad."
AI on his own voice.
Yeah, so I thought this wasn't a really big deal because, like, I mean, he's training the AI on his own voice. So, I mean, of course, it has his permission. He's using it in his own videos. Some might say that I guess, like, you're no longer putting the effort into the video.
Oh, but I guess he could have paid a voice actor to do it for him.
Yeah, I guess he could have, or he could have waited.
That was a job for a voice actor, and he stole it from him.
Well, yeah, no, I don't know. I didn't think it was like a super big deal. I actually thought it kind of made me think, should I just start doing some top 10s with AI Paul voice? I mean, they have plenty to train it on. We do this 2-hour long podcast.
I gotta watch the AI Duel Logs video. That's so interesting to me.
People said it kind of sounded a little bit robotic and stuff. So
I mean, like it should. It's an AI. Like,
although, so here's the thing. Like, listen, I listened to like the first maybe 30 seconds or so of it, and I was like, it sounds convincing enough to me. Like, I might not have minded being.
What if that wasn't the first video he'd use AI for? What if
That
that's
would
only
be
like
funny.
that's not what he told people?
That would be funny. That'd be how I'd do it. I just wouldn't tell any of y'all. Get myself an AI on this podcast. Yeah, so I think as far as the YouTube features go, cool features. I will try them out like whenever they're available and report back with my findings. Speaking of findings,
What you find?
did you hear about the massive Xbox leak? So there was a leak. Yeah, I'm just gonna just read this because there's a lot. This is the Kotaku article, which I know people don't love Kotaku, but they reported this.
Tell them that you could have told him you got it from WNGW.
So this week brought us a wonderful
sites.
treasure trove of leaks from deep inside the highest echelons of Microsoft's Xbox division, accidentally shared online as a result of the company's legal battle with the Federal Trade Commission over its now greenlit Activision acquisition. You might remember we actually talked about this like earlier this summer.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, these confidential emails, slides, and images of potential new products from the Xbox manufacturer reveal the inner workings of Microsoft's gaming division, as well as whispers of some possible new games from Bethesda. So, yeah, basically,
What they got? Show me.
so here are the 10 or 11 highlights. Number one, Microsoft considered buying Nintendo. In the leaked emails,
Wow.
Phil Spencer and Microsoft personnel discussed a possible acquisition of Nintendo. At some point, Spencer wrote, getting Nintendo would be a career moment. He speculated that the Japanese games giant could become more open to acquisition offers in the future due to changing pressures on its board of directors. It's just taking a long time for Nintendo to realize that their future exists off of their own hardware, he wrote. A long time, smiley face.
Woo! I mean, ain't wrong.
Also reveals that Microsoft thought about purchasing Valve and Warner Bros. Games. Okay, next big thing.
What does Warner Bros. Games have?
I mean, they made that one fighting game last year. What was that
Oh,
called?
yeah. Multiverses.
Multiverses. And there might be other things that they make.
I don't know what else they got.
Did they make Hogwarts Legacy? I mean, I know the development team was like Portkey Games, but I don't know if they made that.
I don't know. No clue.
Either way, Bethesda might be working on an Oblivion remaster.
Oh, that's a surprise.
Yeah, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
Well, I guess we shouldn't be surprised of any remasters in this space.
Yeah, so that's kind of a thing. And the next one, Phil Spencer says, AAA game publishers lost their mojo. Interesting. Phil Spencer stated that, quote, AAA publishers were slow to react to the disruption of digital storefronts like Steam and the shops built into Xbox and PlayStation. In a leaked email, Spencer wrote that third-party publishers were unable to replicate the dominance they established back in the days of video game retail. After losing their advantage of highly exclusive access to consumers in brick-and-mortar stores, they have, quote, not found a way to effectively cross-promote. They have not found a way to build publisher brands that drive consumer affinity the way that Disney has in video. He notes that instead they've adopted a strategy of making huge bets on highly expensive prestige projects, relying on those risky all-in bets to establish and maintain publisher brands. He concluded that, quote, the role of a AAA publisher has changed and become less important in today's gaming industry.
He could just say Cyberpunk. Like, he could just say it out loud. I don't know why he's beating around the bush here.
I think he's right on this point. I mean, like, I do feel like the way that AAA games have been sort of talked about and received these days does feel different than, like, maybe 10 years ago or so.
What is the definition of a AAA game?
I don't fucking know.
Because I feel like years ago, back in, like, 2014, 2015, I would point to, like, anything, like, Ubisoft made, anything Activision or Blizzard made.
I think in a lot of people's eyes, those are still what the AAA games kind of are, but like, I think I don't have like a hard, fast definition. I would love to hear what people kind of describe as a AAA game.
Tell us, what do you think a AAA game is?
Because I think like any time it's just a game that sort of, this sounds like bullshit, but my best way to put it is you can kind of just feel it. Like, you can kind of just tell.
Wow, that really was bull.
Yeah, like, it's kind of BS. I mean, you can like, you know, like when a game's coming out, it's just getting a lot of marketing hype and stuff. Like, it's like, oh, okay, this must be a AAA game. I wouldn't know because I'm not the one buying these games. Like, I don't buy this shit.
Paul doesn't buy games.
Like I said, the last like video game that I purchased this year was like Hogwarts Legacy. So, I mean, that's it. What?
I'm trying to keep us from getting canceled, and you just keep running straight towards
I
it.
love Hogwarts Legacy.
What?
So,
Guys, that is not, he is lying.
like, I mean, I think like in terms of AAA games that were released this year that I can think of, I know people have said Starfield is supposed to kind of be one. That's on Xbox.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Spider-Man's like coming out, and that kind of feels like that's like a AAA game.
But Spider-Man always hits.
What's that one? So Baldur's Gate. I don't know if it's like a AAA game, but people talk about it a lot.
But see, Baldur's Gate's one of those games where it really got hype after it released, or like after like the initial like reviews came in.
That's true.
Because to me, that game reminds me a lot of when Genshin Impact came out. It didn't have a whole lot of hype before it released. Then it released and it was crazy.
It kind of sounds like Armored Core as well. I know that. I don't know if that's like a AAA game, but
it's FromSoft, so I
got
mean,
the vibe. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came out this year. I know people said that would fit.
I feel like nothing on Nintendo should count.
Wow, ouch.
It's not a AAA console.
What is a AAA console? Does it have to have good graphics?
Yes.
Switch outsold PlayStation and Xbox. So I mean,
I guess that's true.
I don't know. Now, Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
kind of a AAA high budget sort of thing. And like, I think the only other thing from earlier this year would be like Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know if there's anything else that.
Stop.
So. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's what he says.
So are no fighting games AAA?
So that's a good question. Like, I think that I would say like Street Fighter 6 is a AAA title insofar as
Mortal
like
Kombat 1 just came out.
Yeah, maybe the standards change by genre. Like what is kind of defined as a AAA fighting game might be different than what like a AAA racing game or adventure action. I don't play video games very much, in case you guys can't tell. Okay, next he says Microsoft expected a Red Dead Redemption 2 next gen refresh, but this did not happen.
I would say where.
Yeah, they expected it to happen in 2022. Didn't happen. 3/4 of Xbox gamers had a Series S. So basically,
I don't know what that means.
You know, there's like the Xbox Series X and Series S. Well, the Series X is like kind of the big, PS5 equivalent console from Microsoft.
Okay.
The Series S is kind of like the nerfed, sort of more like lower spec version.
So it's like it's a difference between like a flagship phone and like the step beneath.
A step or two beneath.
Okay.
But it's like cheaper and better, maybe value for the average person. So I don't have like a Series X or an S, but I will say that the S it's significantly cheaper. I know it's like I don't know how much, $300, I believe, compared to like the Series X costing like $500. And
how much a PS5 costs? I own one.
PS5 is $400 for the discless and $500, I think, for the disc.
I paid $500.
Maybe, I don't know how much you paid. Either way,
I forgot, y'all. That was like right off that was during the pandemic, y'all. I don't know what I was spending on.
Yeah,
Trump was sending us checks. It was a crazy time.
Yeah, the low-powered discless Series S actually makes up the majority of units sold. So as of April 2022, 74.8% of Xbox Series owners were gaming on a Series S.
Does that mean Xbox owners have no taste?
Listen, you can. I don't really. Yeah, basically, 75% of people just got like kind of the cheaper, better value machine. Basically what they're saying.
I got another one. So 75% of Xbox owners are poor.
Maybe so. Although if you're poor, you probably can't get either of these things, or at least you probably shouldn't be.
I don't know why I'm still
Maybe
taking
that
a side
bad.
in the console war. I basically just play on PC now.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Don't listen to Alec. He's just saying things. I mean, I guess I should take that back. I'm not saying that like if you're. I guess I don't know. Sometimes when I think of how like these expensive these products even are, it's like a little weird. Do you ever get that?
I mean, that's why I kind of was I exclaimed at how much I spent on that PS5. Like, I really paid $500 for that machine that I use once every month.
Yeah, it's like the same as smartphones to me too. Like, I mean, technically I use my phone every day, so you could argue that spending $1 bazillion on it is worth it. But sometimes I'm like, man, I could probably just not. Like,
Yo, I get mad whenever I see one of those $1,000 phones.
Yeah, that's
like,
crazy.
It's become common for phones to be $1,200. Like $1,200. I bought an entire computer for that.
Now, some people do feel the Xbox Series S's large install base is actually causing headaches for developers because it kind of maybe some people feel that it limits how ambitious they can be with like graphics and performance on next gen games because they have to make sure that it still is able to run on that Series S, and so that's the whole thing.
It's interesting that they made the S and the X because I know for the PS5 they've been scaling back games being made for the PS4. Because when the PS5 came out, the production was so low, and distribution was so horrible that the vast majority of PS5 games were available on PS4 as well.
Yeah, kind of these cross-generation games.
But specifically in the last 2 years, I've seen a drastic fall-off of development for the PS4. I've seen games get DLC and expansions that only work on the PS5, even if the base game was on the PS4 too.
I mean, I think most people prefer that it kind of be left in the dust because they want these big next gen experiences.
Unless you're an Xbox owner.
But yeah, so either way, Microsoft dramatically underestimated Baldur's Gate 3. Microsoft did not seem to think that the D&D RPG would amount to much. In leaked comments, they estimated a $5 million expense to get the game on Game Pass, justifying the low monetary amount by describing Baldur's Gate 3 as a, quote, second-run Stadia PC RPG.
Wow. But though to be fair, on paper, without having looked at how Baldur's Gate plays, it doesn't seem to be the most impressive thing in the world. I think Baldur's Gate won people over with its visuals.
Really, I haven't seen too much of it.
Because Baldur's Gate looks really good, like graphics wise, for like an RPG kind of game. But any game in that genre will give you a multitude of choices. None of them are going to look as good doing it. And I think that's where Baldur's Gate pushes through.
For me, I feel like it was that customization stuff. Like I saw people were just making characters.
You can make characters, but there's lots of games of character creation.
True.
Baldur's Gate looks distinctly better doing it than its competition.
Phil Spencer wasn't impressed by the PS5 reveal. So in an email to Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, Phil Spencer described the Xbox Series X and S line as a, quote, better product than what Sony has, not just on hardware, but equally important on the software platform and services. He continued, we have the ingredients of a winning plan. Today was a good day for us. That's what he said, like, I guess when the PS5 was revealed.
He kind of has to say that, right? He's just you can't say, yo, they got us on this one.
Yeah, that's true. I think like this is one of those things that's included in this article just because it fans the flames of the fan,
this is the console war.
See, he was wrong because the PS5 outsold. Anyway, Microsoft accidentally got a, quote, exclusive Sega game. As the next-gen consoles launched in 2020, fans of Sega's long-running Yakuza series were surprised that its latest entry, the RPG Like a Dragon, was available on Xbox Series X and S, but not PS5. What was up? Apparently, Microsoft was just as surprised, and it turns out the reason for Like a Dragon landing on Xbox first was due to two competing regional exclusivity agreements Sega made essentially short-circuited each other. The result, Xbox players ate well while PlayStation fans wept into their dual senses. I love these writers today.
They cried into our dual sense controllers.
The Xbox Series X might go all digital in 2024. So we didn't just get scans of emails from very serious people. We also got some images and details of possible forthcoming hardware, including a cylindrical-shaped Xbox Series X that won't include a disk drive. Have you seen this image, by the way?
No.
Okay, cool.
Cylindrical. Is it like our pot?
Not that kind of cylindrical, but here's this picture. I'll try to put it on the screen if I can remember. But like that's the.
That looks like a Bluetooth speaker, and I refuse to believe it's anything else.
Yeah.
Do I say, "Hey like Alexa"?
A Series X refresh that's going to.
Okay, Google.
Wow. It's going to deliver 4K Gen 9 console gaming with more internal storage, faster Wi-Fi, reduced power, and a more immersive controller, plus a beautiful redesign that elevates the all-digital experience of the Xbox ecosystem.
Wasn't the Xbox Series X and S supposed to be all digital?
I mean, I think they have a disk drive on them.
No, but like I remember when early on before it released, wasn't it touted as supposed to be this like 24/7 just digital?
Well, but I mean, like I think this is like there literally will not be physical games. Period is like their goal. Because like on the Series X and S, they still have. Like,
oh no, I'm thinking it was perpetually online. Like it had to be online.
Oh, you're thinking of like way back before the Xbox One.
Yeah.
When there was like
is that before the One?
The DRM stuff back in like 2012 or whatever.
The years, the pandemics, like it did things.
This was before the pandemic.
I don't care what you say. No, guys, I get my Xbox stuff confused.
PSU power by 15%, new low power standby mode, recyclable packaging, a bunch of nice things. So
recyclable packaging.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like this thing. Codenamed Brooklyn. The leaked data indicates that the possible hardware refresh will include more internal storage, faster Wi-Fi, reduced power, and a more immersive controller. It looks like a trash can, some people say.
Wow.
So
those were Sony fanboys who said that one.
Next major point is that the Xbox could get a fancy new controller. The image of a controller codenamed Sebel shows a two-tone color design and promises modular thumbsticks.
Let me see it.
And features that many a PlayStation fan have known for a few years now. Lift to wake, precision haptic feedback, and accelerometer. Let's have a look at this picture if I can load it up here.
I'll accept nothing
Here
less
is the picture. I'll put it on the screen if I can.
This was new?
Yeah, I mean, like, it doesn't, this is like a freaking Stadia controller.
This doesn't look different enough from current Xbox controllers. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe it's like more in the build and the features doesn't come through in the image. It might be the...
Well, I mean, the author made it sound like this was going to be some drastically like new thing.
Well, I think it's more like the leaked documents have to suggest that it would be a new thing because it's Microsoft's documents. Of course, they're going to say anything
That's
they're
true.
making.
They have
like,
to make
amazing.
it sound like it is.
Not to say that I think it's bad. I just think it's listen, I'm not.
What if the document's like, yeah, so we just reskin the old controller? Like, we're going to tell people it's new and happening, but really?
And finally, Microsoft sees its next Xbox as a cloud hybrid machine. Slides projecting the future of the Xbox platform indicate that Microsoft is very much looking into the cloud to help power its post-Xbox Series XS console, for which it's looking at a 2028 release date.
That's like 4 years from now.
They describe such a machine as a next-generation hybrid game platform capable of leveraging the combined power of the client and the cloud to deliver deeper immersion and entirely new classes of game experiences.
Boy, your internet's better be strong, yo. Like, you can't have a hiccup or
fucking what is
Ethernet
it?
cables only. No more Wi-Fi.
We're
Dead in Wi-Fi.
What is the name of that? Like the really fast internet that you.
Oh, you got to get that fiber optic.
Fiber, yeah.
Get the cables put in. Yo. Go ahead, call your ISP. Tell them put the cables in the ground. You don't care how much it costs. Because if you're gonna run whatever that is,
now
you're gonna need Starlink.
Phil Spencer went on to say that he was really upset that the leaks got revealed, saying that it was, quote, hard to see our team's work shared this way.
He's responding to the leaks in the leaks?
No. This is like just his Twitter from yesterday or something. So, I mean, what do you think about these Xbox reveals?
They sound interesting. I'll give it that. I like the look of the new or the prototype Xbox that may or may not come to fruition. It looks like a one of those little digital assistant deals.
Yeah, I mean... So as someone who won't be buying any of it,
you could stay in the game more.
I could, but I'm gonna play on a PC if I want to. I think it looks neat. I would say that it does suck that something like this had to get leaked because if there is one thing I genuinely do not care much for in the gaming space in particular is leak culture.
But didn't you just read us a bunch of leaks?
Yeah, I did. I'm just saying that I don't like. I'm able to kind of distance myself from this just because, like, I'm not an Xbox gamer, but I do feel bad for developers when this stuff happens. Like, you're working on this stuff and it's not really finalized or whatever, and it gets, like, leaked to the public in a way you didn't intend. So that sucks, but...
And who's to say these are even the most, like, updated plans, or even if these things are even happening? Mm-hmm. A lot of stuff could just be old, and it was never meant to see the light of day.
Yeah, so hopefully this doesn't, negatively affect them. Hopefully things turn out okay. We're a podcast. We just cover the news. I am not a big Xbox gamer, but for those of you in the comments who are, I would love to hear what you have to say about
And why do you own a Series S instead of an X?
It's cheaper. That's why I would buy one.
I didn't buy a PS5 because it's cheaper.
You didn't have a choice, did you?
I
wanted to play Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, if I wanted to play the new games, I had to do it. I didn't have a choice.
Anyways, yeah, so that's Xbox. Hope they can recover from this massive blow. All right.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers. You got anything else?
No, I'm good.
Well, that's great because that means it's time to do some Pod of Greed questions.
We're going to dig in the pot.
Yeah, grab you some
all right.
Whatever's inside of there.
I had one.
We do have new questions and comment prompts and stuff from you guys, and we appreciate that you submitted them.
Okay, got one. Okay. All right.
Oh, you have something juicy?
So, what archetype would you hate to see as like a meta deck?
Hate to see as a meta deck?
Yeah.
What an interesting
think
question.
of like the worst archetype you can imagine that you just would hate for this to be like strong and the most popular strategy in Yu-Gi-Oh. Oh, I guess in a weird way it happened. My answer was going to be Ojama. But like Kashtira.
Yeah, I guess that's true in a way. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay, so.
I'm trying to think, what's my second worst then? Which one do I? So, I would be very unhappy if Gravekeepers were meta.
That's a good one. I'm gonna go with the same thing. Yeah, if Gravekeepers were like. Actually just like we're comboing you somehow and like
they got Necro Valley on board. They have that spell that stops you from
Yeah,
with
like
the floodgate
special
one,
summoning
right?
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. If
Imperial Tomb and all that stuff.
if
Dude,
they were meta,
yeah, they actually like kind of overtuned the cards because with Gravekeepers you can always tell they're really like they dial back a lot of the balance on those cards to really just they're not great. But yeah, if Gravekeepers were like comboing and just had strong bosses and like all that stuff,
they
yeah,
have
that'd be very annoying.
Necro Valley or Rise Heart.
That could be Negarella could be a lot worse than it is. So especially if they kind of, I don't know. I just feel like they could, if that was designed in like 2023 or something, it could just be so much nastier than it is. So.
It will be called Necro Valley's Gravekeeper, and it's a rank 4.
And it just does some crazy fucking shit. Just says you can't do anything. Your hand's locked, your field's locked, your grave's locked. Nothing. You just can't breathe.
If it leaves the field for any reason, it like floats into 2 other.
Two more, and like they also are all getting effects on summon, and they float. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I would say Gravekeepers probably. I think honestly, anytime that with that question, any of those like kind of weak stun decks that kind of try to be stun or whatever and control, whatever term
decks
you
that
use.
want to be rude, but they're just too.
They're too balanced. Like, I remember like Evil Swarms back in the day and decks like that. They were
I always forget about Evil Swarm.
I will say I also fear the day that like Dark Worlds likes to get like effects. Like like Dark Worlds as it is now, they just kind of summon over and over.
And it's kind of get big and swing.
Like they have a hand loop, so like technically you could say that there's that, but like their monsters never really have effects on the field for the most part. They just kind of
quick effects are far and few in between.
I think they could definitely be like they could go a lot harder on
far
that
in between.
on the hand disruption element of it. Like if Konami really wanted to dial it up, like the obnoxiousness. All right, my question is tips for traveling to Japan.
Oh,
Seeing as we were able to go to
we
Yu-Gi-Oh
were there.
WCS.
All right, my first tip is don't get locked in a small white room. No. All right. My number 1 tip for Japan is bring cash. Like not like American dollars, but I mean like yen. Because
There are some things that you can pay for.
There are a lot of opportunities that you will completely miss out on if you only have like your credit card or your Suica card or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but actually, here's my second tip: get a Suica card.
Yeah, definitely get that.
That card is amazing.
Very handy. Grab a pocket Wi-Fi or something.
Oh yeah,
You'll
pocket
need that for your
Wi-Fi.
As far as cultural things though, like because I feel like that's all just kind of more like trip prep stuff.
Now you can find that online.
As far as like actually kind of living it or whatever. I mean, we were only there for like a week, but I would say, be polite.
Yeah, don't be the loud American.
Yeah, like don't be the obnoxious kind of like foreigner who's just screaming and yelling and being rude. Like people in Japan, at least from our experiences, were very polite, and people kind of just they're respectful. They keep to themselves.
So respectful. When I would sit down in trains, people would get up to like give me more room.
Yeah, so just try to be like, just be respectful. I think that would be my biggest thing. And Google Translate can certainly be your friend.
I use it many times.
Yeah.
The reason I have a pocket Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
Very good reason.
That'd be it. And if you're trying to go there specifically for Yu-Gi-Oh, I would.
I mean, it's probably fine. Yu-Gi-Oh is the same in every language.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. I don't know.
There's so many card shops.
A lot more card shops in Japan for sure. Like it feels like card gaming. Like that's Yu-Gi-Oh and every other card game too. Is just bigger.
We stopped by a card shop, and it was mainly a Pokemon card shop. They were actually holding a tournament in Japanese and in English because, like, I guess there were some English speakers there, and they wanted to play, but they didn't speak Japanese, and so they were doing all their announcements in both Japanese and English, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, so that's what I would say. Just be respectful. Do your research ahead of time. Bring some cash, like yen. Like
wear comfortable shoes.
Oh, and wear comfortable shoes. Yeah.
Because you're going to be walking.
A lot of walking, and if you're going in the summer, it's really hot.
So to be fair, there's also a lot of sitting on trains. So, it balances itself out.
Yeah, comfortable shoes help.
All right, digging in. I want this one. Yeah.
You say that like you like know what it is.
So, would you make a draft cube? I guess another question would be, if I made a draft cube, what would I put in it? So, I personally would not make a draft cube. I don't have the patience or organization to do such a thing.
I would. I've considered doing it. I haven't, like, it's hard to kind of sit down and do the balancing for it, but I watched a video. I don't remember who made it, but I watched a really good video on like kind of some things to like kind of guidelines for if you're like trying to make a draft cube that answered a lot of the questions I had, like, you know, how many of each card do you put into it? Because like if you want a card to show up more, you could put like say 6 of it into a draft cube. Whereas if you don't want it to show up more, maybe there's only 2, and just what's kind of the ratio of like monsters, spells, traps, extra deck. So I would like to give it a shot. I had a lot of ideas for it.
You can make it a video.
Yeah, like I thought like a synchro cube or an Xyz cube or something. So I will eventually have to give it a shot. It's just,
what if you made a cube and then you just had random people from like our like local game store play your cube?
I thought that could be a fun video. There's a lot of duels to be recording though, because duels are kind of,
it is a lot
difficult to record. But I feel like it's unfortunate because like I think it would probably be seen as rather niche content. Like I don't think a lot of people would really watch that since there's not as much buy-in. Mm-hmm. But for something to just do on my own time at locals or something, maybe not so bad. Okay. What about you?
I wouldn't make a cube. I just don't have the patience for it. This is not really my jam. There are people who like making games and they like balancing things. I just like to play them.
I hear you.
That's just me. Now, if I did make a cube, I would attempt the hardest thing ever, a pendulum cube.
Could be really fun though, for sure.
Of course, if I did, I'd pick like the hardest thing possible, and that's what I would pick. I'd try and make a pendulum one.
All right, well, here's our last question. How would you bring kids into Yu-Gi-Oh?
Well, school lets out around like 2 p.m., so if you grab them quick, you can drag them to the card show. No, I don't know. Maybe copy the like league system that like Pokemon and Lorcana uses.
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much the same thing. I know that Yu-Gi-Oh, I feel it's very lacking in new player onboarding, particularly for youngsters. I think that like those league systems are great. I have actually reached out to some of the contacts that I know from Konami in the past and said like, you guys should probably try to like maybe prioritize this for tournament stores. I mean, like, because those systems were basically like, okay, you sign up, you're part of a league, and you get points for like showing up, playing, trading, buying packs, entering, whatever. It could be really cool. I've always thought something that would be neat, particularly for younger or newer players, would be like benefits for like bringing a friend, like bring a friend day. And in the case of Yu-Gi-Oh, I mean, you could even, you know how they have like the Lost Art cards? Mm-hmm. Do something like that, where like, if I bring a friend, and of course they have to like, it can't bring the same friend every week or whatever, and they have to like enter at least a round of the tournament or something. But like, you know, you bring a friend and you get like a Lost Art card or the equivalent, some kind of equivalent of it. Maybe stamp the things, right? Like add stamped cards. You know, Digimon I saw did that. A few other card games have. Vanguard.
I do like the idea of stamping cards. It just makes them. It doesn't. I don't think it costs a lot. It just makes cards a little special.
And we know they can do it because they've been stamping these QCRs they've been throwing out all year. And
which I think is a more expensive type of stamping.
And speed duel cards have been. I mean, those have been stamped, even the commons. So like, there's definitely like, you know, they can do it.
Yeah, they do that kind of embossing stamp deal.
So yeah, like stamp that shit and give it out as a prize. And also, you know, like with Yu-Gi-Oh, it's something I noticed that Pokemon does a really good job of is like they have the sort of player levels on the products. Mm-hmm. They'll be like player level 1, 2, or 3. And so like starter decks and entryway things are like player level 1, but maybe the really hard stuff for the hardcore person is like level 3. Yu-Gi-Oh could use some of that. I know that like just speaking with local game like shop owners, not GameStop owners, that's an issue that they kind of run into is like not really being able to know like what product is for what person and like what are the easy kind of entryway things.
What product this year would you give like a rating of like 1 to?
Speed Duel, Streets of Battle City.
Oh, okay.
I think would be a great entryway product for people. And I would also say maybe the trap trick structure from earlier in the year is like between a 1 and a 2.
Dang.
What?
A 1 or a 2?
Like in terms of like out of like 1, 2, 3, like beginner, intermediate, advanced.
Oh, I thought it was 1 through 10.
Oh, do you mean like no? Like,
okay.
Yeah, like I would say, yeah. I mean, I think like trap tricks in terms of ease of access out of 10 was like an 8 or something, 8 or a 9. I mean, the trap tricks deck, it plays pretty easy. It's not like a combo deck. The traps kind of help to bring your opponent a little bit down to your pace, so the game doesn't have to end so fast. So I'd say that's really good, and I look forward to seeing what they do with next year's 2-player starter deck. It's supposed to be this year, but it's next year.
That one's going to be a 9.
Hoping. Don't fail us, Konami. Yeah, that's what I would do. I think just league systems and stuff like that is how you kind of build long-term sort of relationships with like card shops and the communities around them.
And just because Yu-Gi-Oh has been, quote unquote fine these last couple decades, working the same way, doesn't mean that there isn't room for improvement.
Yeah, I mean, these new card games show up and they mean business. So I think Yu-Gi-Oh could afford some shakeups. And I think they're just going to have to because this year hadn't been for our 25th anniversary. I don't know if it's...
Paul,
have you been feeling the...
Has Yu-Gi-Oh been Yu-Gi-Oh-ing?
Have you... I mean, so serious question for you.
For me. Not from the pot.
Not from the pot.
Okay. What
have you thought of the 25th anniversary this year so far?
So I really like the 25th anniversary Neos. So 25th anniversary Neos is a great card. And I'm glad I had a chance to get copies of it.
Okay. What about everything else?
I always forget other things happened this year.
Would you say it feels like an anniversary year?
Well, they did release the anniversary collection, the Legend Legacy collection. Was that what it's called?
Legendary collection, yeah.
Legendary collection, yeah. That was a kind of a unique product. It didn't print all the sets that I would have liked to see in it. Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest.
It could have been better.
I don't think that I think they kind of dropped the ball on it.
Like,
I feel like it's not to say that's like a train wreck or anything. They didn't do like a Magic 30th anniversary kind of debacle thing. That was bad. But I just think that the products have been kind of disparate. It hasn't really felt like an anniversary. It hasn't felt special or like any different than a normal year. If anything, these last few products have kind of underwhelmed a lot of people, it seems. And to me, I think that's like a big fumble. Because it's like the 25th. Like, we got to make it feel a little bit special. But like the Yu-Gi and Kaiba sleeves aren't coming out until next year, dude.
I mean, just some sleeves.
Yeah, but like it's those little things that add up, right? Like we started doing QCRs and main sets in like Duelist Nexus. But they're gonna do them for 4 sets, which means it's gonna extend until like next May. But that's not the 25th anniversary year anymore.
I don't really care for QCR.
And what do you think of them? The implementation, the look, everything.
It's just that it's just Starlight.
You mean Diet Starlights?
I mean, I don't know if it's Diet
frankly,
Starlight.
I think Starlights look better.
Like, I don't know if it's Diet Starlight, but to me, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was... the change to me wasn't meaningful enough to give it a new rarity name.
I think that they should have done fewer of them.
There are a lot of those things.
Because they randomly were like, okay, when they did them in the Legendary Collection, cool. They randomly did them with Battles of Legend, of all things.
That one, I didn't think they'd be in there. I was surprised.
I didn't think that they really belonged in there. And then even with Duelist Nexus, with Starlight, they did 4 cards in the set were Starlight. And then there was a 5th one that was like a reprint, like Hand Trap, Effect Veiler, DD Crow. And Duelist Nexus has 25. And it's just like, that's too many.
I feel like the only cards that should be getting quarter century rares are cards that were very impactful in the last 25 years. So I really don't think anything brand spanking new should get a quarter century rare. Well, yes, it technically came out in the first quarter century of the game. It doesn't have any real prestige yet. I don't think it's earned that spot.
I just think there were too many. I'm gonna be honest. I think that they could have done fewer and made it feel more special.
Maybe there should have been 25.
Yeah, 25 throughout the whole year.
Yeah, 25 quarter centuries.
And then you have to start buying from because you can do 1 per set, 1 per every product release or something. Mm-hmm. And then maybe mainline sets get 2 and spin-off sets. It's kind of different. Some are promos. And basically it becomes this big collection. Do you get all 25 quarter century, you know.
And like, I don't understand why we did Chronicle Magician and Quarter Centuries in these latest sets.
Yeah.
It's like, are we chasing Chronicle or are we chasing Quarter Centuries?
Not Chronicle. What is it called?
Is it not Chronicle Magician? Oh, that's a different card. You're right.
It's like
what was it called?
whatever the new illusion thing is.
That thing. I don't care for us to be chasing for multiple things in a set. Either chase the new magician guy or chase.
Are you thinking of like the Bonds of Time and Unity thing?
Oh, that one. That's
yeah.
It.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's so many different. Like I think it all feels very jumbled, and I don't think it's been as well communicated as it could be. Like it doesn't feel like anyone, like we're all kind of on the same page of what we're supposed to be excited about for the.
I feel like its implementation is supposed to be along the same lines as like 10,000 Dragon. But I say either do 10,000 Dragon or do like Quarter Century. Don't do both at the same time. It feels a little like money hungry.
And I'll give Konami my usual credit I always give them. I'm sure.
You haven't given him credit yet.
I'm about to. Don't worry. I got to shill a little bit, right? I'm sure that some things are like outside of their control. Or like, you know, certain products or whatever maybe had to get like pushed back or weren't approved in time or just whatever. But I do think that this 25th anniversary has just not felt particularly like coherent and special. And that's not great. I mean, it's a bit of a letdown. I don't think it's like a nightmare. It's not the worst thing in the world, but like, just, Anywho, though, that's the pod of greed for this week.
That's the pod.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments what you thought of any of our different stories. Sorry if our energy was a little bit low this week. A lot of traveling. So it's kind of been wearing me down. And you were sick. So you got.
But I'm back-ish.
Yeah, so we're here. We apologize. Another kind of longer week as well. Hopefully these maybe become the norm if you guys want them. Anyways.
We're trying to work on our 4-hour pod.
Never. All right. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Pass turn.